morning everybody, welcome back to the Friday night colouring class. We are now on card number 2, and for card number 2 we've used the same patterns of designer series paper, and I've created lots of little squares to layer in the background for this one, and then I've added some little bunnies, and then you've got a nice oval detail in the background. So for this you're going to need your pack that says number 2, excuse my terrible stamping, and we're going to need a landscape style bunny and our bunny that's sitting up. So again, I'm going to add both of my images to one block, and I'm going to stamp onto white card. You have plenty of white card in your kit. So far that's all I've used there. Okay, give that a really good helping of ink. Now with this one, because we're going to use the punch to punch out the bunny, you're going to make sure when you stamp your bunny is at the bottom of your card. It just helps you when you're punching out, so that the punch slides in like so. Okay, so for these bunnies I've kept with my smoky slate, and again I'm going to start with the light pen, and I'm going to give this bunny a really good colour. Now you'll notice that when I'm adding this with the felt tip pen, now my nib has been used for flecking, so it's a little bit damaged. I'm just adding my colour to my bunny, sort of in the largest of spaces. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm going to go in with my dark, and I'm just going to go around the edges where I think the darkness will be. So his feet are probably going to be quite dark because they're under the body. We're going to highlight this leg curve, colouring these feet quite dark, and then under the neck is going to be quite dark as well, I'm thinking. Okay. Around the head, in the base of the ears, and then around the eye. So just by focusing on those sort of areas, already you're bringing some depth to your image. Another little tip is to use a light basic black as well, but I'm going to keep this quite straightforward today. Now I'm going to go back in with my light and just sort of blend between the two colours, adding a bit more thickness. Okay, I also want to go over some of the areas where there's quite a lot of lines. Okay. Now a trick when you're doing this is to go around in little circles, and that actually brings in a different sort of texture to your image. Nice. Okay, so there's my bunny. Now I'm going to bring in my colour lifter again, and I'm going to just bring the colour around his face and underneath. And what that does is that softens the gap between the line between where the grey finishes, and it just makes it more of a nice smooth colour. Now I'm just going to go around the top of his ears. And then blend that down with the colour lifter. Perfect. Okay, now the same for the tail. I've not coloured the tail in, so I'm just going to add a little bit of light and then blend that in with the colour lifter. Perfect. For the ear, we've got a little bit of ivory. And there we go. That is my sitting down, my laying down bunny. I know he's not laying down, but you get my gist. And then we're going to cut this out with the punch. If you don't have the punch, don't worry, just snip that out with your snips. Okay, so next we have our second bunny, and this one again, starting with that light smoky slate. It's quite a big area, so I'm going to go into the nose, bringing that colour down. The nib of this blend is really quite bad now. Okay, so we've got a little bit of colour on our bunny. Go up into the ear, and then we're going to go around with our dark. So the process is always the same, light, dark, light, and then add your colour lifter to any areas you want to kind of highlight. Now with this bunny, I think he's going to have quite a lot of dark in his bottom. I'm just adding a deeper colour there. Oh, my heater's coming on again. It's definitely cold out here this morning. And then just in around the eye. Let's pause. Okay, so I'm pleased with that. Now we're going to go back in with our light, and this time I'm going to use the fine end to just bring that colour in. And then with my colour lifter, I'm going to add a little bit of colour lifter just in and around. And that will just take our colour out. And then drag that down into his tummy and into his face. And then again, we just need to finish up with the tail. Nice. Oh, we've forgotten his ear. I always forget his ears, don't I? And the ear, we've got some ivory, like so. Okay, so now let's give him a little snip around. And I'll do this quite quickly. I'm leaving a little white border around the edge. I think sometimes it just makes the image feel a bit neater by leaving a little border. Just trimming down. And there we have it. We now have our two bunnies. So let's open up our card kit. Okay. So in your card kit, you've got another green card base that we're going to add to the front of the card. And then you should have some designer paper. So you should have 4 of each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to start at the top of your card and you're going to add your squares one at a time. And when you add your first one, you're going to pop it in the top left corner or top right, whichever way you want to go. And you're going to leave a nice little border of white showing around the edge. And then alternate your papers. I'm going to use my stripes so they are horizontal. Oops. And then these stripes can also be horizontal. Oops. Push too hard. Okay, so for your next line, you're going to move the green pattern along to over here. So your green one is going to be over here. Your blue one is going to be in the middle. Just make sure that your stripes are going in the right direction, and your red one is going to be underneath the blue. Okay. You don't have to do it like this, but it just gives it a little bit more consistency. Okay, so I'm just adding my next layer, like so, and then bringing this one in. So for your bottom, if you notice on this card, the top row is the same as the bottom row. So the bottom row, we're going to start again. We're going to move it down to the bottom left corner. We've got our green. And then the next layer up will be a continuation of this. So our red is going to be in the middle, our green is going to be on the left, and our blue is going to be this side. Now it doesn't matter entirely, doesn't matter at all if you decide to do your pattern differently, so please don't worry. So you will notice that's our squares all finished. So you'll notice you've got this gap in the middle. Now on mine, I've got a dimensional back there. On mine I've added a strip of blue card which appears to be missing from my kit. So I do apologise if yours is also not there, but I'll show you how to cut that now. So you're just going to get a scrap of balmy blue paper. If you don't have balmy blue, you could use any colour or just leave it off, it won't matter too much. And then the width is going to be 10 centimetres, okay? So we're going to make sure that is 10 centimetres long, or 10 centimetres wide. And we're going to cut a strip that is just 1 centimetre wide. So it's not a huge piece. That may be why I've missed it out of my kit. And that just sits in the middle and it just brings everything together. It finishes the pattern, if that makes sense. Okay. So that piece is going to go in the middle. And you're not even going to really see much of it. So next we have our 2 frames. So these frames come from the Framed Florets set, and we're going to layer these together. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue to my frame, like so, and then I'm going to put this frame onto the back. It just overlaps ever so slightly. It just gives you a really nice kind of embezzled look. Embezzled? Is that a word? Have I made that up? I'm not sure. Okay, so next we're going to stamp our sentiment. For mine, I've used "You're a Friend Like No Other." put that on a little block, and I've stamped that in Balmy Blue. Now I'm stamping this first so that I know I've got enough room to put my bunnies on afterwards. Okay. So stamping Balmy Blue, and it's just going over towards the left hand side. It's a really nice sentiment, that one. Next I'm going to put this onto my card front, and I'm going to stick this down so it is flat. And that's going in the centre. So I'm lining this up with the top of the bottom middle square and the bottom of the top middle square. So I know that that's in the centre. And then we put our bunnies on. So for our bunnies, I'm going to add my bunnies with a little dimensional. And then the last one goes on like this. So our two little bunny friends, and then the last piece of our card is our layer of white inside. And there we have it. That is card number 2 all finished. For card number 3, this is the design we're going to be making, and I will see you all over on the next video. Bye for now.